One of the things that I admire about Jess, my wife, is that she's always had this wisdom to be able to discern what's most important. It's actually pretty remarkable how well we've been able to keep our house fairly clean over these last 2 weeks of being at home with our children. Until today, it seemed like today things were going rather well, and then we looked away, and then we looked back, and things just kind of blew up, and stuff was everywhere, all over the house. That's just the kind of day it was today. Well, after dinner tonight, we could have busied ourselves with making sure everything was back in its place and all the dishes were cleaned up and put where they needed to go. But Jess decided to go out with our kids tonight in the rain to play Foursquare. And they had the time of their lives. I probably wouldn't have agreed to go out there with them. But Jess knows what's most important. And she spent some time with them that they'll remember for a long time. It reminds me a little bit about a passage in Luke chapter 10, where Jesus has some friends, and there's things to be done. Except Jesus points out what's most important. The passage goes like this from Luke chapter 10, beginning at verse 38. I invite you to take a look at it sometime. It says, "Now as they went on their way, Jesus entered a village, and a woman named Martha welcomed him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to his teaching. But Martha was distracted with much serving. And she went up to him and said, 'Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Tell her then to help me.' But the Lord answered her, 'Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about many things. But one thing is necessary. Mary has chosen the good portion, which will not be taken away from her.'" There were many things going on when Jesus visited Mary and Martha. But Mary had this wisdom of discernment to realize what was most important. And while she could have scurried around, getting things in their place, she instead sat at the Lord's feet and invited him in and listened. And Jesus says, this is the good portion, because this will never be taken away from her. This experience that we've all been going through together for the last couple weeks, we've all probably experienced certain things that have been taken away from us. And we could be spending a lot of time thinking about those things and being busy with those things. But Jesus' voice speaks through it all and invites us to recognize the one thing that is necessary. And it's time with him, sitting at his feet. All those other things we scurry around about, it's not that they're not important. But just like in our house today, you look away for a moment and you look back and it could be gone, taken away. But when we sit at Jesus' feet, that's the good portion. Because what we receive from him will never be taken away from us. I encourage you to think about a couple things today. One, to think about those things that you stay busy with, but that can be taken away from you and even maybe have been taken away from you at some point. And then I encourage you to answer for yourself, what does it look like for you today to sit at Jesus' feet and to receive the good portion from him, which will never be taken away from you? God's blessings, and may Jesus fill you up as you do that.